So you know how people say silly stuff, like really silly stuff. You'll come up with like a silly headline that has absolutely no merit and no base, but you can like create like 7 or 8 conversations from that one single statement, even though it's completely and utterly asinine. Where I just created one of those. Yes, I came up with that. I did. You ain't gonna hear this anywhere else. It's ridiculous. It has no basis whatsoever. It is not to be taken seriously. But it is something that came to my mind because I'm crazy like that. So here we go. So I'm watching Steph Curry go completely nuts. Okay. He just set the record for the most threes ever made in a single month. 83 threes in a month and counting, because I'm pretty sure he has another game before the end of this month. Not certain, but I'm pretty sure he does. It's like 25th or something like that, 24th. So I'm looking and I'm saying, okay, Steph Curry was playing like this before KD got there. The Golden State Warriors were a 73 win team, even though they lost to Bron. And, you know, Draymond was very much adamant. People say he was crying. I don't know. He was very adamant about calling KD at the end of that loss and saying, man, we need you. We gotta get you down here. We got to win. But, of course, in order to bring in KD, you would have to get rid of some things. So, guys like Harrison Barnes and et cetera, guys that were on the team who really made up the strength of what they were, which was the deepest team in the league with unlimited shooting from their 2 super-duper stars. And a glue guy in Draymond that facilitates the ball without demanding any scoring whatsoever. It's a perfect blend if you have a deep team, for which they had. And Steph was playing like this. He was shooting like crazy, just doing the impossible every night, putting up Hall of Fame numbers, making people legitimately question whether or not it was him or LeBron James the best player in the NBA. Because it was really a thing that year. It was like, I don't know if LeBron's better because this guy's doing all of this, changing the game, et cetera, et cetera. And then KD gets in there, right? And they win the championships that they win, but they don't have the depth, you know. And when KD leaves, they can't replace that depth, and now they're a team that's reminds me somewhat of the Laker team that Shaq left before Powell got there. That's kind of how they look. Or even worse, the Laker team after we traded Powell and after we traded Lamar Odom and that whole thing went left. Bynum went down with the injury, left us, and all that good stuff. They're similar to that Laker team because you got a prime Steph Curry, prime Kobe Bryant, ready to roll, probably would win championships every year if they were on the right roster, but it's just them and a bunch of other stuff that nobody wants. Well, of course, they got Clay, but Clay's coming back next year, so we don't count that. We're talking about this season's Warrior team. Not very good, probably overachieved from where they're standing, to be completely honest. And they got this Hall of Fame, world-beating player on champion down there, putting up empty numbers. Empty in the sense that it doesn't matter because they're not winning anything. Did KD ruin everything for the Golden State Warriors? That's my ridiculous question of the day. Did he ruin the dynasty? Now, of course, he brought winning championship flavor, okay? Let's not be foolish here. But what he also did was make it so that their expiration date sped up. Because when you leave, you take the depth with you. Your value extracted their depth, but it balanced because you were there. So it's like they could still get away with not being the deepest team in the world. They still had Iggy, they still had Livingston, they still had Bogut, they still had guys who could really get it done. But they weren't the team that they were when they won 73 and was running through the regular season like crazy. That lack of depth really hurt them. So long as KD was on the floor, no problem. You leave him, he leaves. Couple moves trying to make things work. You do the D'Angelo Russell deal, you did a Wiggins deal, you draft a kid, Wiseman, and now you're in a space where your team's just, I'm not going to say you suck, but your Eastern Conference solid, which makes you out of the playoff hunt in the Western Conference. In other words, if they were in the Eastern Conference, they'd be solid. They'd be up there with the Bulls, Hawks, Knicks, Charlotte. They're in that mix. Pretty good. Solid for the Eastern Conference. Ain't going to get you nothing in the West. I don't want to put the Knicks in there, by the way. The Knicks are a little better than that. But Hawks, Charlotte, you get the point. Thing is, Steph Curry is still playing like that guy that makes you wonder if he's the best player in the world. And he's playing even better now. And I think, man, how much better would he be if he still had an extremely deep team? If he still had the pieces that helped make that team what they were. Now, of course, Clay is the wild card. If you have Clay, you can argue that they're a championship caliber team right now. You could argue that he doesn't make that much of a difference. I've heard both arguments. And at this stage, coming back from the injuries that he's coming back from, we don't expect him to be the Clay that he left being, which was a guy that you can expect to get 50 points without dribbling the ball and could go on the other side of the floor and lock up the best player on the other side. He's not going to do that anymore. He's even said he's not going to be doing that anymore. It's not. They're going to have to get used to him being much less of a productive player, defensively at least. Offensively, I still think he's going to score crazy. I wouldn't be surprised if he has another amazing game when he gets back from injury. When I say amazing, I'm talking like 60 points in like 3 quarters. He's capable of doing stupid stuff. Stupid stuff. We know this. But we also know that there's a chance he doesn't. There's a chance he doesn't come back that guy at all. And that's kind of scary for Golden State Warrior fans, I'd imagine. But you look and you say, wow, man, like if KD never came, I could argue they still would have won championships because they did have the deepest team in the league. Steph Curry would have never stopped being the MVP favorite every year because he would have been doing this every year. Because without KD, you never find anybody coming onto that team that even makes you question whether or not Steph Curry's the best player. See, that's the thing that also hurts Steph Curry's in a way. Now that he's played with KD, he was definitively not the best player on his own team. So never again will you question whether or not he's the best player in the league. Never again will you sit up here and say, can he keep up with Bron historically? No. He gave you the illusion of being able to do that when he had that super deep team, 73-win team. And when he lost to Bron kind of put that to bed to a degree. But I can't say that LeBron put it to bed fully. KD put it to bed fully by coming there and definitively being better than Steph, particularly on the defensive end. Because offensively, one could argue they're both gods, but defensively, that's where they definitely separate. So that's really a thing. Now, the answer to the question is, of course not. No, KD did not ruin anything. He brought you championships. So don't get it twisted here. I'm not saying that he did that. I'm just saying that the question can create conversations because there really was some things that wouldn't have went left had KD never got there nor left. And so on and so forth. Now, do they get those championships without KD? I think that's arguable. Most people probably say no. But me, I think they do win. I think they win. I think the 73-win season where they lost, look, I've thought about what I said. I'm still going to say it. I don't think they lose that series if Draymond doesn't get suspended in Game 6. I think that was Game 6 or Game 5. For Game 6 in Game 5. I don't know. But if Draymond wasn't extracted from that very, very, very important pivotal game in the finals, I think the Warriors win that series. I don't think there's ever a reason for Draymond to get on the phone and call KD crying or what have you. I don't think that ever happens. I think the Golden State Warriors come back the next year probably just as deep because they can retain value. You don't have a super duper star coming in, which means everybody wants to come to your team. Lesser versions of everybody, your role players, your kind of good guys are going to want to take a bag from Golden State to be a part of this. Keep that team deep. And I think depth helps them navigate through some of the injuries that they ultimately ran into. And of course, no KD means that you have to supplement his scoring somewhere. So it probably means you have different types of contracts, more movable contracts, things of that nature. Probably more of a friendly maneuverability with your cap. Because once you extract KD, he leaves for nothing. There is no retaining that value. There is no supplementing that. You could try to go get Oubre and Russell and all those people, and they're not going to do nothing for you because there's no replacing Kevin Durant. So he leaves a void that can't be replaced, as to where if he's not there, you never have that void. Scared, I know, but for sake of conversation, we're saying it. So there's a lot of, yeah, there are some things there. There's something there. You can scratch and sniff. There's stuff there. But at the end of the day, the answer is no. KD didn't ruin anything. He brought them 2 championships. He was the best player on the team, NBA, the Finals MVP, both of those series, and he put in work. Even though he came to a team where that was loaded, he did hold his weight. He held his weight. He put his body on the line, okay? During the Toronto series where they lost, he was putting himself on the line. We knew he was injured. He was playing injured. he held his weight for the Golden State Warriors. So as I make a video like this, I want you guys to understand that I do not believe he did ruin anything for the Golden State Warriors. He just created a void that couldn't be filled by his departure. That's it. And left him with 2 championships to carry to San Francisco. So don't lose sight of that as well. But the person who got the short end of the stick, of course, is Steph Curry. His legacy got hurt the most because not only did he get hurt by having a super duper team, in a way, kind of take away from his value, making it so that he never got any Finals MVPs, making it so that he was never looked at as the same caliber of player that he once was prior to KD getting there. All of that was real, but also now KD left him and he's stuck here in this situation where the team is not that great, but he is just as great as he's always been. Some will say I should probably mention that Steph Curry, KD liked some tweet a couple days ago or something like that saying Steph Curry was trash. The only reason why Steph Curry was that good or something. I don't know exactly what it said, but this is just one of those situations. KD tends to speak his mind. KD doesn't mind stepping on people's toes. KD has shown some resentment for people that you wouldn't expect him to show resentment for. I don't know what went down there, but when it comes to KD saying something about somebody that may hurt somebody's feelings, I expect that at this point. He has that reputation with me. I would expect KD's going to say something that's going to make somebody upset. Okay? So him saying something controversial about Steph Curry that would probably leave a bad taste in Steph Curry's mouth, line up Steph. He's done it to everybody. So that's nothing. But at the end of the day, man, KD is still one of the greatest players in the world, second greatest player of his generation behind LeBron James, and he has a chance to get another championship right now. As to where Steph Curry, nah, that's not happening. So take from that what you will. My name is BDF44, and I am out.